Hello there, John Coturillo here, the counsellor of your listener. Thank you for joining me for this episode. As per usual, thank you to everyone who makes it possible for me to live my vision every day, be you a client who allows me the privilege of entering into your life to help you with your goals, or as a supporter or listener of the podcast. Thank you to everyone. Today I have something rather blatant to say about that cliche of telling someone that they're overthinking. Not in every case, but in most cases that people use it. Now, as per usual, I am going to be espousing an evaluation here, but do not ever take what you find on the internet as advice. Please, if you have concerns about yourself or about someone else, please seek advice from a professional. But telling someone they're overthinking with very little additional insight to that is quite an intellectually lazy way to respond to someone. Okay? It's often used when someone approaches an issue in a way that another person deems too complex. Because think about this. Often the person who thinks that the other is overthinking actually isn't considering all aspects of the situation and is taking mental shortcuts. If you were to point out all of the mental shortcuts that person is taking and advise them to consider all the aspects of a problem that they haven't yet considered, often they find ways to simply just explain away why that's not important. Then they don't even define how to think more simply about something. They just say, well, just think more simply about it. Right? Now, sometimes justifications can be quite qualitative, they can be abstract, but they're justifications nonetheless. It's not justification to simply say, well, simply think more simply about it, something. And they also can't define why a certain type of thinking is overthinking. Meanwhile, often the person who is supposedly overthinking sees the world in a certain way, just like everyone sees the world in their own way. And their overthinking, so to speak, actually makes them highly capable in certain areas. And while it may make for a challenge for them in other areas of thinking, in other areas of life, who can cite the evidence that the underlying substrate that causes them to overthink, so to speak, and cause a challenge for them in some areas of life is any more severe than any normal person's lack of ability in some area? Because, in case you hadn't realized, we all lack some abilities in some areas. No one is perfect. And like many cliches, it's said by someone often who wants to feel like they're correct. They want to feel like they have the answer. But think about it. How do you define overthinking? How can you define when you are thinking at just the right intensity and someone else is thinking too intensely or in too complex a manner? How do you know that you're not underthinking? Have you considered all aspects of the problem? It's something that I don't think we ask ourselves enough. So, thank you for joining me for that brief philosophical musing. As per usual, if you have concerns about yourself or someone else, please do not take what you find on the internet as advice. Always seek advice from a professional. And if you have any ideas about what you'd like to hear on the program, or if you'd like to be a collaborator or a guest, please contact me. I'd love to hear from my audience. And until next time, take care.